Test. Yep.
Welcome live to Turner Gymnasium on Wayne Profit Court, where tonight we've got some ODAC men's basketball for you, featuring the Ferrum College Panthers and your Lynchburg Hornets. Hello, friends and fans. Welcome inside the Hornets' Nest. I'm Joe Hutzler alongside Dr. Aaron Smith tonight, and we've got two teams with a bit of an interesting season. Lynchburg started the year off 2020 with a loss. They've rattled off 4 straight wins. Ferrum, the only loss in conference play for Lynchburg. What does Lynchburg have to do tonight to avenge that loss and keep this streak going?
Well, I'm going to tell you what, Joe. I think this is one of those games that they had circled on the calendar because they have rattled off. They've been 6-1 since that time, and they've won by an average of 17 points. They've done that inside the paint. T.C. Thacker, Cody Lang, they've been phenomenal. They both had big scoring games, but they both had big rebounding games as well. And they're going to look to use their size to dominate this game at home today.
Looking forward to seeing the matchups that we have here tonight on the floor. But first, let's take a look at the two teams. We call this by the numbers, just a side-by-side comparison of what they look like, at least on the stat sheet. And as you can see, Lynchburg leading in most categories, but we're really going to be focused on the big men play, especially their rebound department.
Oh, absolutely. Lynchburg is one of the best rebounding teams in the conference. Ferrum, not so much, and Lynchburg at home plays phenomenally as well. You can take a look at those shooting numbers, Joe, and this is one of the things that you pointed out a little bit earlier about Ferrum shot lights out when they were
51% from beyond the arc,
which is abnormal. You can see it right there. Actually, yes, the three-point percentage for Ferrum about 32% on the season. So Lynchburg will make sure on the defensive end that they're trying to make those threes difficult.
All right, we will take a break for the national anthem. When we come back, we will show you who's starting tonight and our players to watch on LHSN.
The biggest thing that I've taken from Westover is probably my interactions with faculty. I started working with Dr. Fryer. He's always available for help, and he makes sure that I get to do the experiments and not just be there while he does them. I didn't want to limit myself when I came here to just taking the prereqs for med school. I wanted to get a full, well-rounded education, and I definitely found that in the Westover program. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing soccer at a competitive level, but also it's given me the ability to be a student and to pursue other activities such as EMS. I 100% do Westover because it's not something they're going to regret, and it's going to be a lot of work, but so is everything else. It's just going to help build their education that they've already had and make them a better person for it.
Look what you're missing!
It really don't matter to me, I'm just happy to be here, I might go crazy.
Welcome back inside Turner Gymnasium, and there is a look at your starters today for both of these squads. List in order of number, of course, and some familiar faces for both teams. This has been the starting group for both squads and really set the tone. One difference from some points of the year is Chance Green getting the start at that point guard position out there with Theron Suggs playing in the backcourt for Lynchburg. Poses a pretty big threat, especially based on his last performance last time he was in this building and scored over 23 points.
Well, you're right about that. And there are a number of players out there to watch, Joe, because a lot of them have big scoring capabilities. But this one, we talked about the paint, and it also is going to come down to defense. So defense isn't sexy. And a lot of times, a lot of people, we talk about players to watch, and we're talking about points and scoring. But I think the tone of this game is going to be set on the defensive end.
There is our player to watch, as you were mentioning, for the Ferrum Panthers, Rashad Reed, averaging 15 points per game, had 31 in that win over Eastern Mennonite, and also became the 18th player in school history to score 1,000 points or more.
Yeah, that's a big deal, Joe. There's not a lot of names on that 1,000-point board, and that 31 points was also a career high for him. So you can bet he's coming off of a high after that game, and a win against Lynchburg last time. So we'll see what he can do tonight.
As for Lynchburg, we talk about the guy in the paint who's been making a lot of noise. He's coming out of the tunnel right now. T.C. Thacker with yet another double-double in their large victory over Emory and Henry last weekend.
Yeah, and he is leading the conference in rebounds as well. Again, sometimes I like to talk about the stats that aren't quite as sexy, but, man, T.C. has been able to score as well. He's excellent around the basket. He's got a jump shot as well, and he's doing everything Coach Scott and the staff have asked of him this year.
Speaking of stats that aren't sexy, free throws.
Yes.
He's a big man who shoots very well at the line, 80% from the free throw line. So that old school thought of hack a Shaq, get the big guys to go to the line, that's not the case. That's not a game plan when you're taking on T.C. Thacker.
Well, you're right. And I don't know if you've ever watched his free throw routine, but one of the things I like, a lot of guys take 3, 4, 5 dribbles, spin the ball, do all this mess. T.C. Thacker gets the ball, one dribble, shot up, call it a day, 80%. Some other guys may want to take notice.
Well, this is not the only game going on tonight. We'll keep you abreast on action in Harrisonburg and Winchester, Virginia, as the Wasps battle the Royals and the Eagles take on those other Hornets from up north. Randolph-Macon and Virginia Wesleyan, a top 20 matchup there. Number 3 versus number 18 happening in Virginia Beach. That's the big game tonight around the conference. But the big game for us is right here. It's staring us in the face. Ferrum and Lynchburg for the second time this year. First time around, it was the Panthers victorious 78-73 in Rocky Mount, Virginia. What will be the case tonight? Stick around. The next 40 minutes will tell us.
I was watching these teams warm up, and Lynchburg warms up with such energy and enthusiasm. And to me, those are traits that you can't measure necessarily, but they take the team a long way. Chance Green there for the first shot of the game from beyond the arc and can't get it to go.
Second opportunity maybe, but the Panthers negate that chance. Marcus Player brought it up the floor.
Lynchburg in their patent man-to-man defense, and they do a really good job of attempting to pressure the ball. They switch well when they have to, and good contest there by Reggie. 3-ball
missed, and then heads-up play from Player to throw it off of Thacker.
Thacker looking at the referee to say, hey, wait a minute. He was already out of bounds. Referee was standing right there, though. He had other thoughts.
Khalif Jones on the inbound attempt. And tipped away by Davis. Good quick work by this Lynchburg man-to-man defense to start things off. It's a Hornets team that is tied for 5th in the conference in steals per game with 7.5. Ferrum, a few points better, 3rd in the conference in that department.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, the tone of this game is going to be set on the defensive end. Lynchburg has just been playing extremely well, and as I mentioned before, they want to avenge that loss, and they want to make sure the Panthers don't get off to a quick start.
5 to shoot, ball is up and in, and it counts for a 3 from Khalif Jones.
Yeah, and he's not necessarily known for his three-point prowess at 28% on the season, but he gets that one to go.
1 for 3 in that win over EMU. Chance Green is known for his three-point prowess, but misses his first attempt. And the Panthers will get the rebound. 2 empty possessions to start for Lynchburg.
Yeah, and those are good looks there for Green. He hasn't shot the ball quite as well this year as he has in years past, but Coach Scott and the staff will take that shot all day.
Do you take into consideration, as a layup attempt is up and good for Reed, you talk about Chance Green's numbers, that he hasn't been a starter all year long. There's a little bit of a change in rhythm, if you will, as the season has progressed.
Well, I mean, he did an excellent job of coming off the bench and being able to provide kind of starter minutes and starter production as well. And so Coach Scott and the staff thought, let's go ahead and get him out there.
Thacker, tough shot as he was double teamed, and the Panthers come away with it again. And there's a foul after the fact. So a tough start early for Lynchburg, down 5, couple turnovers, and now their first team foul is called. The Panthers looking to surprise some folks, preseason number 10 in the conference. And now they're 8th, so they're on that bubble spot for the ODAC tournament.
Yeah, and they would love to get back to the tournament as well. And Lynchburg, you know, you mentioned a little bit earlier sitting at 2nd, and they want to surprise some folks too. They're preseason 5th.
Player working on Lang. Gives it up to Jones, 7 to shoot. Driving is Carrington, and he's fouled on the attempt. Coach Scott doesn't like that call, but it will be 2 shots for Carrington Young, the junior out of Burlington, North Carolina.
Well, 2 things about that play. Number 1, and let's take a look at it again. No, we're not going to do that. We'll look at the free throw. But I will tell you what 2 things about that. Oh, here we go. We're going to.
Oh.
We're just going to.
They're faking us out. We're going to figure it out. We'll get it.
I'll tell you what. I thought that was good defense by Thacker. Number 1, I thought that was a clean block. But number 2, and more importantly, I thought that was pretty good movement there by Carrington Young with that big old knee brace. But I thought he was quite mobile.
Young, 6'2", 220. Able to use his weight to get closer to the basket. And he goes 1 for 2 at the line. 2-possession game at its fullest potential for the Panthers.
And again, this is what we talked about, that fast start. Ferrum's got to be pretty happy with the start they've had. Another 3 up and good this time.
Theron Suggs, first points of the night for the Hornets, comes from deep range. Suggs coming off a season-low 5 points at Emory and Henry, the place that he transferred from this season. He did have 6 assists and 5 rebounds, so he was able to make up for it in other areas. And there's a rebound after that missed shot.
And Suggs doing quite well, 15.7 points per game in the conference, but actually, scoring in general, but his scoring in the conference has been down. 6 points per game, down to 9 points per game for him.
Of course, nothing's going to match his first game here at home.
Right.
Dropping 50. But a huge part of Lynchburg's success this year, his ability to play multiple roles, and certainly if he can get hot shooting, that's another added bonus. Ferrum has gone cold the last 2 possessions, so it remains a 3-point game. Each team still looking like they're trying to figure out what their rhythm's going to be. Lynchburg 1 of 5 from beyond the arc, and we haven't played 4 minutes. Now they're going to dump it inside. Thacker, Carrington Young, who hits the floor and picks up the charge against Thacker. Pretty close to a flop, says Coach Scott.
Yeah, and I think that was part of their strategy coming in. You get TC Thacker out of the game. I mean, he is a force on both ends, and we can take another look here. Thacker backing down. Well, he wanted to back him down. That's what he wanted to do, Joe, because I saw it in real life.
We're getting closer. We're getting closer.
And that's it. And TC Thacker out of the game just 3 minutes into this thing.
2 fouls already for Thacker, 3 against Lynchburg as a unit. So Dow Dunton, the sophomore, will come in. And immediately Dunton and Suggs getting involved, taking that ball away. Fast break, Lang lays it in with the right hand. That's where Lynchburg's very dangerous. They're quick to get back in their fast break transition.
Yeah, they are, and I had some concerns on that play because the spacing wasn't right. And I think that initial pass was to Green, but Davis gets it and gets it out to Lang, and easy layup.
This will go back to Lynchburg, and a sudden change in energy after that 1 fast break from the Hornets. As Davis will step out, Noah Bullock, the freshman out of Lorton, Virginia, will give it a go at the point guard spot. 15.5 remaining, still early, of course, in this first half. Hornets looking to avenge their loss in Rocky Mount earlier this season and keep the winning streak alive and remain in that second position of the conference. And that one's missed by Suggs, and then a foul on the rebound. We'll keep it here. It's going to go against Nick Helton, the junior out of Lebanon, Virginia.
And that's a tough step back there by Suggs, but that's a shot he can certainly make. Lynchburg's fortunate enough to come up with the second chance rebound.
Chance Green delivers it inside. Cody Lang out to Suggs from way downtown. Not able to drop it in, so Hornets continue to struggle from outside the arc, but still only down one.
Yeah, and that's a lot of threes taken in the early going of this game, first 5 minutes gone by. But they're all good shots for the Hornets, and they're a team that shoots almost 35% from threes. So, again, coaching staff happy with the shots that they're getting right now.
Helton for three. That's good. The Panthers 2 of 5, and they extend their lead to 4.
And the coaching staff for the Panthers, Ferrum Panthers, not only happy with the shots that they're getting, but also the production as well as they continue to hold on to this lead.
Lang along the baseline, pulls up, and that's short. In that last matchup, we talked about the 51% three-point percentage for the Panthers. They shot 31 shots from beyond the arc, 54 shots total in the game, and made 16 of those 31, as that one's missed from Reed.
Neither team shy from behind the arc, and Green was very deep and almost got fouled on that play as well.
You shoot enough, they're bound to drop in. 2 of 7 now are the Hornets, but they're only down by 1.
I've always liked Bullock coming in this year. I like his number. I like his energy and his intensity on the defensive end.
Just a note to folks in the truck to fix the scoreboard. We apologize for that. Should read Ferrum 11, Lynchburg 8. And there's a foul on the ensuing possession. It goes against Ferrum's number 5, Khalif Jones, his first, team second, and that's a media timeout for us as you take a look at Tyler Sanborn. We'll talk more about him and, of course, more about this matchup next on LHSN.
The biggest thing that I've taken from Westover is probably my interactions with faculty. I started working with Dr. Fryer. He's always available for help, and he makes sure that I get to do the experiments and not just be there while he does them. I didn't want to limit myself when I came here to just taking the prereqs for med school. I wanted to get a full, well-rounded education, and I definitely found that in the Westover program. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing soccer at a competitive level, but also it's given me the ability to be a student and to pursue other activities such as EMS. "100% do Westover because it's not something they're going to regret, and it's going to be a lot of work, but so is everything else. It's just going to help build their education that they've already had and make them a better person for it."
In that huddle is the back of Tyler Sanborn's head. Oh, there he is. Coach Sanborn in his 3rd season with the Panthers. Familiar with the ODAC as a Guilford College All-American, played the forward spot, 2-time All-American. Just 6 players to total 1,000 career points and rebounds in his time. Speaking of great basketball players in their college days, Hillary Scott, ODAC champ with Roanoke, went across the pond to play some professional basketball as well. And now they are leading programs, trying to bring them to prominence. And Luke Romeo comes off the bench, and a rare 2-point shot for him, but it does fall, and the Hornets within 1.
You know, you talk about both of the coaches, but I just want to say something about Coach Scott. So I was a player in the era before Coach Scott, and one of the things that I've really enjoyed that he's done with this program has been that, really, quite frankly, they've been competitive every year since.
Yes.
I mean, actually, I was just talking to an old player last week, and we were talking about how with the talent that we had, we should have been competitive at least. Coach Scott, man, won a championship, and he's kept these guys in the upper echelon of the conference really since he's been here.
He knows how to get the most from his players, no matter who those players are. And potentially seeing that with this year's team, again, preseason ranked 5th, but starting to get people to notice that they are, or should be, deserve to be in their minds, higher than that. As you take a look at Rashad Reed at the free throw line, top free throw shooter on the team at 78%. And this time around, he'll go 1 for 2, and it's a 2-point game.
And I like how Suggs has been very active on the glass thus far, 3 rebounds. for him.
Jamil Pasha, first shot taken, and that won't fall. Lynchburg 3 of 9 from beyond the arc, and it's actually percentage-wise a little bit better than Ferrum's.
Ferrum has done a pretty good job of running their offense thus far. They've got good spacing. They've really gotten a lot of shots that they want. They've had a couple miscues early on. I'm not sure that was a shot they wanted, but they'll take it.
Long range jumper falls for James Smith Jr. He had 16 points in that win over EMU, and looking to come out, help his team remain in the lead. As Bullock drives, kicks to Suggs, finds Dunton inside on the block. Dunton one-on-one, takes contact, puts it up, and it will stay here on the floor. Foul's going to go against Michael Spraggins, a freshman out of Halifax, Virginia. Team's third foul.
You know, and Dunton has done a really good job this season, too. We talked about Thacker, and sometimes he does get in foul trouble, and Dunton has been kind of that third big off the bench who's done extremely well, 5 points per game, and again, in limited minutes, but he's just been reliable.
Romeo off the dribble, hand in his face, tough shot to make. Credit the defense of Caleb McCreed, who came in off the bench during that last timeout. So now the Panthers have an opportunity to give them the largest lead that they've had in this first half. Young escapes, crosses over. The big man showing off the hops and the skills in the end, though. Stripped away, and now the Hornets on the fast break. Green dishes. Romeo wanted it. He'll take it, and he'll miss the shot this time.
That's good transition offense for Lynchburg. Again, you'll take Luke Romeo taking that wide open three any day of the week. But I'm impressed by Young man. That guy can move.
He can.
He's a large man, and seriously, don't let that brace fool you. It's almost like it shouldn't be there. Look at this. Set me a screen so I can take him off the bounce.
Some guys are just pure ballers. Oh, nice pass. Connects with McCreed. Couldn't do anything with it. Got 2 to shoot. Better put it up. McCreed will. It's short. And shot clock violation. That'll be the 4th turnover against the Panthers here in the first half as the Hornets make substitutions. With Jamil Pasha staying in, Cody Lang will check in for Dow Dunton. Those are your 2 tallest guys on the floor for the Hornets. There's a look at Pasha, sophomore out of Fairfax, Virginia.
So interesting that I should talk about Ferrum's offense, and then the last 2 possessions. One did result in a 3, it was contested 3, and that one resulted in a shot clock violation.
Romeo, the floater. Pasha, top of the key, pump fake. And that one rattles in and out.
Yeah, he wanted that one. Nice pump fake, get the defender in the air, and he was able to take his time and shoot it. Go ahead.
Lynchburg has only taken 5 shots inside the arc, and they've taken a total of 17 shots.
Well, you know how I feel about that, Joe, but I'm old school, and it's just not the kind of game those kids play anymore.
Well, luckily for them, Ferrum's not faring any better at the moment. Still a 5-point game as Green pulls up in transition. Another 3 that's missed. And it's really ironic we focus so much in the pregame about the big men and what they've been able to do over the past few games, especially the last 2, just pure dominance. And then Lynchburg comes out and tries to play Warriors ball, and it's not working.
Yeah, and it could be because of the pace that Ferrum had set. Ferrum came out and they shot a lot of 3s, and Lynchburg, they're shooting a lot of 3s.
That's where Romeo likes to be, on the balcony of 3-point shooters, and sending it down for 3 more. His second bucket of the afternoon, night I should say. First one from beyond the arc, and Lynchburg is within 2.
Yeah, that's a good shot. Again, good ball movement by Lynchburg. But again, Ferrum's doing an excellent job. Good ball movement. That's a good shot. Lynchburg comes up with the rebound.
Ferrum shooting just a tick under 40% from the floor as Romeo goes for it again and does not get the bounce that he wanted off the backboard. Spraggins with the rebound, and now Ferrum's going to slow things down a bit. Under 9 minutes to play, a quick look at the stats. Lynchburg shooting 22% from the field, a measly 25% from beyond the arc at the moment. 9 rebounds to Ferrum's 12, so not winning in that department. They are winning in turnovers, just 2 compared to Ferrum's 4, but that's about it when it comes to head-to-head, as the Panthers will be called for turnover here, and each team will make some substitutions. 3 team fouls for Ferrum, by the way, and 4 for the Hornets.
You see Suggs there continuing to loosen up. He only has 3 points, but he's actually the leading scorer on the floor right now for the Hornets.
And a foul away from the ball will go against Ferrum's K1 Madden McPhee. I'm going to go with a PA announcer and say it's McAfee. He probably had a pronunciation guide. Lynchburg trying to take the lead for the first time in this half, if you can believe it. Lang, no call here, and they'll tie it up. And then there's a foul afterward. They call flop, so the first time when Young went down, now the official's looking at it a little bit more carefully when someone goes down, and it's called this time around.
Well, you're right about that, and those are the kinds of things that the coach is saying. You see there, Cody Lang gets the ball, and that is absolutely a flop. The right call by the referee. A little late, but you know, when you're a team that's undersized, you know, you try to use every trick in the book, but Coach Scott and his staff will certainly whisper in the referee's ear to say, hey, you need to take a look at that because my guys are getting punished for just playing basketball.
15 all, and that shot tried to be willed in by Reed. Davis, stutter step, kick, Suggs, long distance, good.
Good two-man game there, cross court to Davis, right back to Suggs, and Suggs now has 6 points, and now he's actually the leading scorer on the court.
First lead of the night for the Hornets. Trying to pick up some steam going into halftime. Lang, big swat and block for him. Number 15 on the season for the senior. This is potentially a game-changing possession if you're Lynchburg. Short on the corner 3. Ferrum out in transition, 2-on-2. Reed, hop, step, and jump, and rolls it in with a nice touch.
I like that. He doesn't average 15 points per game for nothing. He's got 7 now, and that is a phenomenal move as Suggs tried to get in defensive position. That's a good move. Good finish.
They make it look so easy, and I have tried it in pickup ball, and it is embarrassing. Staring Suggs on nylon. Back-to-back jacks for Suggs that drop, and the Hornets extend their lead to 4.
And I've tried that in pickup ball, and it's embarrassing as well. My knees don't let me bend to get enough strength under me. That's a good shot there by Suggs. He's feeling pretty good.
6:40 remaining in the first half. The Hornets starting to heat up here from Turner Gymnasium, and a travel called. That's the 6th turnover for the Panthers, and a media timeout means we'll take a break and come right back. The Hornets picking things up, 6:34 remaining in the first. They lead 21-17.
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
Welcome back inside Turner Gymnasium. Connect with us today at Lynchburg Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with everything Lynchburg Hornets. Of course, if you have followed us for a while, you know those ladies by their faces. Those are members of the field hockey team that won the conference for the 2nd straight year and also went to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament.
And this past weekend was a phenomenal celebration, was it not, Joe?
100%. Coach Steele going into the NFHCA Hall of Fame, the class of 2019. Over 600 wins for Coach Steele in 40 seasons. And well-deserved moment in the spotlight for her this past weekend in Florida. And she's still kicking and going to keep on trying to add to that legacy as Suggs continues to add to his point total. Slow start for him and Lynchburg, but now Suggs with 11 points over the last minute and a half.
And you can see he's locked in, and Lynchburg defense is trying to lock in as well after a slow start, up by 6. And Ferrum is trying to find any answer they can on this offensive end.
Hornets have increased their field goal percentage by 11% in the last 8 minutes. Long three, well off the mark. Taken and missed. And on the other end, taken and missed by Davis.
Good opportunity for Lynchburg to push the ball up court, and Davis is certainly a capable three-point shooter as well. That one just off the back iron. And again, I talk about Ferrum spacing on offense, and couldn't connect on that pass there, but their spacing has been very good. They're running their offense quite well. They're 4 out, 1 in type offense.
Somehow that ball found the hands of Dunton, and he put it away. A bit unorthodox, but the points count the same.
That's it. You put a little bit of English on the ball, hit the rim, and got a friendly roll, and that's what happens when you play at home.
First bucket tonight for the sophomore out of Wake Forest, North Carolina. Here's a 3 ball missed by the Panthers as they continue their offensive struggles. Especially concerning after a timeout just a few moments ago. Suggs inside. What a roll for Suggs. 2 more, he has 13.
His last 2 shots, level of difficulty, 10. Suggs getting it done.
Panthers need a response. They just need points to build up that confidence again. Watch the ball go through the bucket. 4:22 to go. Reed, the top scorer on the team, he'll try it. Miss, and we'll go back to the Hornets after it goes out of bounds. Lynchburg is going to make some substitutions in the meantime. So will Ferrum. Israel Lakami is checking in for the Hornets. And on the Panthers side, James Smith Jr. will get back in the game for the second time. Great to see Izzy getting great minutes. No longer it's just someone that comes in a blowout. He's getting real-time minutes, and he's earned it based on his performances this year.
Well, you see him right there, and I was actually getting ready to say the same thing, Joe. He's a success story. Guy who works very, very hard in the offseason, works hard in practice, and he's been able to show his talents.
Showing off their talents, it's Theron Suggs. Another 3 ball. He's got 16 points to lead all scorers, and he is 4 of 6 from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, Reed trying to answer with a tough 2. That won't drop, and the Hornets have all of a sudden jumped out to a large lead of 13. A game in which the Panthers led 15-10 with 8.5 minutes to go. Lots of things have changed here as we get closer to the end of the first half. You go back and look at Suggs, and this half becoming something, Aaron, that has that lives up to the cliche of we're going to stick with our game plan. No matter how it starts out, we're going to keep on going, and right now it's working out for Lynchburg.
You know, even though they lost the last game, Joe, Lynchburg believes they came into this game believing that they're the better team. I would argue that Ferrum also came in the game believing that they could win the game. And again, there's still plenty of time to go. You still got another half and 3 minutes and 46 seconds. But Lynchburg has gone on a tremendous run, as you've mentioned before, 10-15. Since then, they've gone on a 20-2 run. And that's just the firepower that Lynchburg has, and you got to keep in mind as well, Thacker hasn't been in the game since the 16:30 mark.
Coach Scott very happy about the way they've performed without their big man under the basket. You saw the lower third graphic pop up there talking about halftime coming up. You'll hear from Reggie Davis in the I Am One Nation piece from a year ago, but relevant this week. It is Suits and Sneakers Week, part of the Coaches versus Cancer program. And we'll talk more about that once we get to halftime, plus first half highlights and a look at the ODAC scoreboard. A lot of other games going on tonight, including number 3 Randolph-Macon at number 18 Virginia Wesleyan this evening. 3.5 minutes to go here in the first half. The Panthers looking to end this drought, and they still aren't able to do it on that first shot. Shot clock resets to 20.
Yeah, and that's something that you don't want if you're a Hornet fan. Just second chance opportunities for any team. They're killers.
And just unlucky roll. Player had a good position, just not high enough off the glass. And then to add insult to that miss, they are called, the Panthers are, for a foul. It's going to go against Khalif Jones.
And I think that's a good substitution there, too. You see Cody Lang coming back in for Thacker, who made a brief appearance. And I really wouldn't want to chance him getting his third foul with 3 minutes to go here in this half. And Cody Lang he's played quite well. Just give TC some rest, and Suggs has just been getting it done on the offensive end.
Suggs went after it again, this time no good on the other end. Foul, count the bucket. Terrific transition all by himself. James Smith Jr. drives in, and we'll have a chance at 3 points on this play. Here's another look at the foul.
Yeah, and you can see definitely some contact there. And Smith, for a lot of the season, Joe, he was actually coming off the bench and being a big-time spark plug. He's second leading scorer on the team at 13 points per game. And again, a lot of those points were coming off the bench.
We talk a lot about successful teams being able to go deep. Usually that guy coming off the bench halfway through a half can set the tone for the rest of the game. Smith Jr. trying to do that on that last possession. And now they have a chance. A missed three, rebound, and opportunity to go 2 possessions with points. They have not done that since we had 10 minutes or more to go in this half.
Well, Lynchburg certainly needs to stay locked in, and they get a fortunate call there, a foul call. I believe it was a push.
And it's going to go against Rashad Reed, top scorer for the Panthers. I beg your pardon, 32. Nick Helton, his second foul. Team's 6th. Lynchburg has 5. And we have 2:17 remaining in the half.
Lynchburg needs to keep their foot on the gas towards the end of this half. Again, Suggs did an excellent job of opening this game up. You got Bullock there for 3. Lynchburg has gone cold here the last 4 possessions.
Bullock not a three-point shooter by trade. Just 4 makes on 15 attempts now in his freshman season.
Yeah, he's one of those pure point guards, and he's a good defender as well.
Floater with contact by Green, no good. This is where the Panthers will be kicking themselves at halftime, realizing all the empty possessions for the Hornets, and they have not been able to respond with points on the other end, as Dow Dunton gets a block and gives it back to Lynchburg. 11-point game.
Lynchburg trying to run their offense here, and this time run it on the left side of the floor, and Cody Lang, nice spin move to get inside there, and Dunton, a great offensive rebound.
Watch that back foot for Dunton. They didn't call a walk. Instead, it'll be a foul on the Suggs shot. Things got a little dicey there for Lynchburg, but in the end, their top free throw shooter will go to the free throw line and help them extend this lead.
Well, I talked a little bit about Dunton before in his production off the bench, 5 points per game. I'd mentioned he also gets 5 rebounds a game. And those are just big minutes when you can count on one of your bigs to be that consistent from game to game.
Luke Romeo checks in for the Hornets. Theron Suggs, an 85% free throw shooter. Second attempt is good. 17 points out of the 32 for the Hornets have been scored by that man alone. 60 seconds to play in the first half, and that's going to go back to Lynchburg. Suggs doing it all.
That's an excellent defensive effort and an excellent defensive play. I know one of the things that they've said about Suggs, especially after some of his big scoring outputs, is that they want to make sure that they see him do things on multiple sides of the ball. You talked about this before, about how he's been able to stuff the stat sheet as well. That one won't go down on the stat sheet, but it was an excellent play, winning play.
Here he is again, guarded by Reed, dumps it inside to Dunton. Had Lang for a moment, instead gives to Bullock for another 3. Was on line, but too strong. Suggs, pumps, floater, good.
That's another tough shot. So that's a good swing there by Cody Lang up top, and Suggs could have taken that three instead. Takes a hard dribble, two dribbles to his right, jump stops, and hits a nice mid-range shot.
On the other end, some hesitation, and a foul will be called. It's only the 6th team foul. There was no shot being taken, or maybe they'll deem it as a shot. I don't believe it should be. No, they're going to inbound it. So the hesitation actually may have worked against the Panthers on that possession. 23 and a half seconds to go.
Good patience there by, I believe that was Smith on that play, but the Panthers still have to put the ball in the bucket.
Reed, double team, just got that pass off. Helton with a long three, that's short. And Reed keeps it in play. They can hold for the last shot. 10 seconds remaining. Needing something to feel good about going into the break. 2 seconds. Smith Jr. won't drop as the horn sounds. Lynchburg had a deficit of 5. They cleaned that up, and they are out front by a large margin, 34-19 after 20 minutes of play. We'll step aside for 3 minutes. Come right back and hear from Reggie Davis and much more on the LHSN Halftime Show.
This is. This is.
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
Welcome back to Lynchburg, Virginia. It is Suits and Sneakers Week, so the coaching staffs and athletic training staff will wear their suits and sneakers for comfortability and a chance to raise awareness about cancer overall. It's, of course, run by Coaches versus Cancer, who has raised $100 million for the American Cancer Society since 1993, and one of Lynchburg's own, Reggie Davis, his mother affected by cancer, and last year he took a moment to talk to us about his growth through that battle.
My mom was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016, and then it came back in 2018. With my mom, we've always been attached at the hip since I was a child, so I was always the last one to get news like that. A lot of people used to say I'm a mama's boy, and I'll attest to that, I probably am. So just hearing that news, I always got the last bit of it because they knew how hard it would hit me. And I always wondered, what can I do? There's nothing you can really do in that situation. My mom always told me, do what you can control what you can control. And what I do is play basketball. So I just knew I needed to do that to the fullest. A lot of the times when people hear cancer, they immediately associate it with death. And so for my mom to, I guess, get through that and kind of put death behind her and keep living life to the fullest, that kind of helped us learn that, nothing's too big, no obstacle is too big to break down, no wall is too big to break down. I learned that I have a really nurturing spirit. I have a big heart, and I love putting it to use. If anybody ever needed anything from me, I wanted them to be able to come to me in my lifetime. And I feel like that's only grown with just being there for my mom. I realized that, I could step up as a son and take care of things. And if I needed to take care of something, I know that I could do it now. Seeing my mom be strong like that, it really inspired me. And it made me kind of take my anger, my fire, and turn it into something positive. Because, the first time I was like, man, my mom's got cancer and I didn't know what to do. I would just kind of soak in it and just be sorry for myself and pity myself. But use your pain as motivation. It says God will give you beauty for your ashes. And so you should just make something beautiful of your struggle, of your pain. I think a quote says, life isn't measured by the breaths we take, but the moments that take our breath away. And I'm thinking every day, if you just live to the fullest and, give your best, which is all you can do, then you've already won. My name is Reggie Davis, and I am One Nation.
To have a cadaver lab is a bit rare nowadays, just because other programs are going to more convenient forms of that kind of learning. So to be able to get your hands on actual bodies, to get your hands on actual structures that exist underneath the skin, but you don't quite have the concept of how they all work. Now in that class you can get the concept of how they work. And then being able to apply that directly to the clinical sites. So you'll go straight from class right into your clinical sites, and you'll be able to use everything that you've learned that day to be able to work with the kids directly with the athletes is the most rewarding part, is the most rewarding experience of it.
Through the whole application process, Dr. Bradney was really helpful about getting me through the process and everything like that. So it made it super easy to make a decision to come here to Lynchburg, and I've loved it ever since. Some of my favorite things are just how hands-on the classes are and just being able to do things with my classmates and ask my professors any questions and just go into clinicals and how hands-on it is there as well. They're always around, so it's not like they're strangers or anything like that, and they always just say that their office is open just to come by and even chat about life or anything else going on. It doesn't even have to be school related, so they're kind of just there as mentors and teachers as well, so it's kind of really nice to be able to work with them in that way rather than just as seeing them as teachers.
And welcome back inside Turner Gymnasium, where it's a 34-19 lead for the Hornets over the Panthers at halftime. Hello again and welcome inside the Hornets Nest. I'm Joe Hutzler alongside Dr. Aaron Smith for this broadcast, and we're going to ask you two questions. The first one being, for the Panthers, how do they find that shooting, that confidence that they had that was so successful in the first 10 minutes, because after that it went away.
Well, it did. It went right out the window, right out of Turner Gymnasium. And I tell you what, one of the things they have to do is take care of the ball. They ran their offense very well, and one of the things I had mentioned is how well they ran their offense early. They ended up with 8 turnovers in that half, and that's going to be too many. They started throwing the ball away, shot clock violation, and just some bad contested shots. Moved the ball around. Their spacing was good. They got to get back to being strong with the ball and being confident with their shot.
Of course, if you're Lynchburg, you got to like how things transpired in the second part of that first half, but can they improve anything at all based on what we saw in the first half? Maybe just someone else getting involved besides Theron Suggs.
Well, absolutely. Well, one of the things that they have done well is make sure that they're taking care of the ball. Suggs has been phenomenal as well, and quite frankly, if other players are able to get involved in this game the way they absolutely could, Lynchburg, this should end up being a blowout, Joe.
No question about that. 34-19 is the score right now. Theron Suggs with 20 of those 34 for the Hornets, feeling himself here today in front of a pretty good crowd and trying to help avenge the loss to the Panthers earlier in the regular season. When we come back, we'll take a look at the ODAC scoreboard. A lot of games going on tonight. Count it. We've got about 6 other games going on, including that number 3 versus number 18 matchup happening out of Virginia Beach, a halftime score from there, and much more when we come back on LHSN.
Hi, Mara Willis. How are you? Pretty good.
A lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something. It becomes a family. It doesn't matter how long ago you had your professor, they still remember you and they remember all of the hard work that you put in. They're always there for you and they always want to do the best that they can to help you succeed. Here you learn how to love one another regardless of what's going on or what you believe. You leave here better than what you came in. It's what this school's really good at doing.
Okay. We're good.
Sweet. See you later.
Look what you're missing.
It really don't matter to me. I'm just happy to be here. I might go crazy.
Quick look now at the ODAC standings coming into tonight. There's a full list of all the teams from top to bottom. You see Randolph-Macon, Virginia Wesleyan, Lynchburg, your top 3 schools. Roanoke taking on Washington and Lee tonight, so that's a big matchup in the 4 versus 5. But of course, nationally, we got to talk about Randolph-Macon and Virginia Wesleyan. Number 3 versus number 18. Let's take a look at the scores from as updated, at least at the moment, at odaconline.com. You can check them all out there as well. And you can see Randolph-Macon a slight lead over Virginia Wesleyan at halftime, 39-34 there in Virginia Beach. Still waiting for an update from from the W&L game. Emory-Henry with the lead, trying to bounce back after a loss to Lynchburg, and some other scores that we will update you on once we have a chance to do so. 2 minutes left in the halftime break for the teams, 30 seconds left for us when we come back. Players of the half and the second half start between Lynchburg and Ferrum.
If I'm walking around over on the crowd side, I always hear someone yelling, "Hey Nat, take our picture. Hey Nat, get this," or something, or "Hey Nat, you got that shot?" Like, so I'm always like trying to photograph the crowds and my friends calling my name. I think sports at Lynchburg unifies us as a whole. No matter what background we come from, what differences we have, and what experience we've experienced through our lives, it brings us all together and we have one goal, which is to win. As a photographer, I definitely get to capture the emotion and the feel and the atmosphere of what's going on during the
And welcome back inside Turner Gymnasium on Wayne Prophet Court. Joe Hutzler and Dr. Aaron Smith with you tonight on LHSN, taking a look at our players of the half. And certainly on Lynchburg's side, you got to talk about Theron Suggs' performance in the first half of play. 20 points and 4 rebounds. That leads the team in both of those departments for the junior first-year transfer.
Well, and you can see him out there walking with his team and talking to T.C. Thacker about staying out of foul trouble, but Suggs did a phenomenal job in the latter part of that first half of carrying the offense.
Rashad Reed, the top player of the half for the Panthers, with 7 points, going 3 of 4 from the floor in the first half. He was also our player to watch for the game, so living up to the hype in that way, but going to have to help his team live things up a little bit larger in terms of scoring points, as they are down by a sizable advantage with 20 minutes to go in this first rematch for the Hornets of the season. You get a couple of those throughout the year. This is the first time they have faced an opponent that they played earlier in the season, and that's a good start. Work it inside, off the glass, and get some points early.
Yep, and I like that strategy again, and because if I'm Ferrum, I'm looking to continue to have Thacker in foul trouble. Again, they weren't able to get the 3 ball to fall as consistently as they would have liked to in that first half, but move the ball around, stay patient, and work with confidence.
Lynchburg moves it around, and Reggie Davis picks up his first bucket of the night, and it's worth 3 points.
Yeah, and I like Reggie Davis's game. He's supremely athletic and can knock down the 3 ball as well. He's a capable rebounder. And so it's good to see him get on the board.
Reed off a screen. That 3 is all money for Rashad Reed.
Well, and that was one of the things I was going to say about Reed, too, as a player to watch. And 7 points in that first half. They're just going to need his leadership from the scoring aspect. Again, he's their leading scorer, and they've got to look to him to score.
T.C. Thacker did not play much. He had 2 fouls in the first half and certainly didn't need really to come in. His team picked him up, but he comes off the bench and his first bucket of the night. And it's a tough one. As Reed goes back to the well for 3 more, comes away with no water in the bucket. Lynchburg in transition, a couple players trailing from behind. One of those is Thacker. Cross court to Davis. 2 for 2 to start the half for Reggie Davis.
That's excellent offense. Good job by Thacker about getting down the court after getting tangled up with Young. And excellent work of finding Davis in the corner for his second 3 in a row.
18-point advantage for Lynchburg now.
Yeah, Ferrum, they don't look bad on the offensive end here. Patient, and again, they've gotten good shots here at the beginning of this second half. And you're not going to get all these points back on one possession anyway. You're down by 18. Continue to stay patient. Continue to attack the basket as well. They've got a little bit of size out there. And if you have a wide open 3, go ahead and take it. It's a long half. 18 points is doable.
It's doable, yes. And the worst feeling has to be the fact that they've had really good execution up until they shoot the ball.
Yep.
And that's when they're not dropping in. That's the most important part of
right.
it. But they began 40+%, and now they're down at 29% from the field and really struggling to convert as Reed has to shoot with 1 to go on the shot clock, and it's halfway in and out.
That's a good one. You say great execution until it comes to shooting the ball.
Sometimes you have to stare the truth in the face and admit it, as Green gets the floater off the glass to drop. He's got 5 points, and the Hornets go up by 20, their largest lead of the contest.
That's interesting that you say that, though, too, because sometimes teams are so focused on running plays and making sure they get the cuts right and all that other stuff that you forget the most important part, which is putting the ball in the basket.
Young driving, blocked by Lang, his second denial of the evening. Now it's Green. Dishes to Thacker in transition. And a beautiful, pure shot from the man in the middle, T.C. Thacker.
And Thacker, again, Thacker's offensive game, his repertoire is quite robust. He can finish on both sides of the basket. He's got good footwork. He's got a nice mid-range shot, and he can shoot threes.
Attention, the band.
My goodness.
We got to look out for that errant ball. Took a music stand down and played a couple notes on the xylophone as well.
Well, and you can see the look on Madden McPhee's face there about, and this is just turning out to be a bad night for me. I knocked down the bandstands, balls off the side of the backboard. Great day.
Coach Sanborn feeling it as well. This is not the result that he expected, especially after the first go around, but certainly worth mentioning again, that first matchup, Lynchburg lost by 5, but the Panthers hit 16 threes that evening. Everything else was pretty even across the board, and tonight that stat line is not helping them out. They've shot 16 and only hit 4.
Well, it's interesting you say that too about how everything was pretty even across the board. That's a nice reverse layup attempt there, but by Reed. You know, you took a look at halftime, and Lynchburg led in actually every major statistic except bench points.
Long rebound finds Suggs. He'll take a step in where Green was and shoot the 3, but to no avail.
And Lynchburg still continues to try to increase their lead. 22 points now, and Ferrum has to still remain calm. Make sure they don't throw the ball into the bandstand again.
McAfee's going to try to answer for that mistake earlier. Can't hit from long range. And Lynchburg adds their rebound total, which is now at 26. Suggs with contact, just muscling his way inside, broadening those shoulders and putting 2 more on the board. He has 22 to lead all scorers.
And you saw Mean Muggin Jones there just a little bit saying, what you going to do to try to stop me? I got 22 in 25 minutes of play. I like that ratio.
Best player answering the best player. Some playground basketball taking place here right now. 15:07 to go. The Hornets well out in front. 48-27. Back in a moment on LHSN.
The biggest thing that I've taken from Westover is probably my interactions with faculty. I started working with Dr. Fryer. He's always available for help, and he makes sure that I get to do the experiments and not just be there while he does them. I didn't want to limit myself when I came here to just taking the prereqs for med school. I wanted to get a full, well-rounded education, and I definitely found that in the Westover program. It's given me the opportunity to keep playing soccer at a competitive level, but also it's given me the ability to be a student and to pursue other activities such as EMS. I 100% do Westover because it's not something they're going to regret, and it's going to be a lot of work, but so is everything else. It's just going to help build their education that they've already had and make them a better person for it.
Really quickly, let's go back and talk about those 2 scores we couldn't give you at halftime. It is a 59-46 lead for Shenandoah at the break. And over in Lexington, Virginia, the Battle of 81 ensuing between Roanoke and Washington and Lee. The Generals leading the Maroons in the second half of play 42-34. So that's crucial as we showed you the standings. W&L 1 game behind the Maroons at the moment as we inch closer to tournament time. In just a few weeks, we'll be in Salem, Virginia for yet another ODAC men's basketball tournament. And for Ferrum, they're hoping they can stay in that 8th seed or higher as they try to make their first ODAC tournament as Chance Green makes his first 3-pointer of the night.
Good shot there by Chance Green. And it is hard to believe that the tournament is coming up in just a few weeks. And these teams need to use these games, and this is all around the conference. These teams need to use these games as tune-ups for what is sure to be tough battles in Salem.
Chance Green high off the glass, tough angle. T.C. Thacker proving his worth inside. Gets the shot up, but not going to drop, and then he works back to it. Last touch by the Panthers. Another reason why Thacker is a dominant force in the conference.
Let me talk about him leading the league in rebounding. And that one might not come up as a rebound because the ball went out of bounds, but that is why he's a leader in rebounds, because of that tenacity and that effort.
Averages 15 points per game, 10.6 rebounds per contest, which, as you mentioned, Aaron, is tops in the conference. Turnover here for Lynchburg, a rare turnover tonight for the team, and it works out to be points in transition for Player. Just the third turnover tonight by the Hornets. They average 16 per game, so doing very well in that department.
You know, Joe, sometimes I say things that are right, sometimes I say things that are wrong.
TC Thacker is all right in this second half. Has not missed a shot. 6 points in the first 6.5 minutes. On the other end, tough shot with contact. That won't fall for Jones. And now I'm interested to know what your point was.
Well, Joe, just sometimes, you know. That's it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. You know, sometimes you're a loss for words. It's okay.
Well,
it's not your job to speak. It's mine.
Well, I am here to help. and I tell you what, Ferrum needs some help right now. As again, some of these offensive possessions are looking sloppy, and defensively the effort seems to be waning just a bit with 13:20 to go in this second half. I'd like to see Ferrum go on a run here because they have oh my goodness, they have the ability to go on that run.
Great response after that ball almost went into the band again, but it still won't fall for the Panthers, who are shooting 27% from the floor. Bullock somehow kept that in his grasp, and then at the end did travel. And Rashad Reed will check back in for the Panthers. And I think you said the right word. Speaking of things you do say that are right, sloppy. Panthers, for where they are in this game, they're not exactly impressing with the effort that they're giving, and that's got to be disappointing for Coach Sanborn and their fans.
Well, I agree with that. And again, you come in this game as a preseason ranked 10th, and you're sitting at 8th. And again, this is what a tied for second place team looks like, and you're down by 24 points. You gotta fight to the. I'm not saying that they're not fighting, but you gotta fight to the end. And you gotta have a good showing to see. You know what? We can still play with these guys if we make the tournament, because this is the kind of competition you're going to play if you make the tournament.
100%. And even if you do lose tonight, as there's 4 seconds to shoot, Helton drops it in. If you do lose tonight, you'd like to feel like you gave your best effort, because you still have a tough schedule ahead at Hampton-Sydney, home against Bridgewater, and you got to travel to Guilford. So it doesn't get any easier, and more importantly, you can build some confidence even in a loss heading into those contests.
Correct. And playing on the road is always tough. Playing in Turner Gymnasium and on Wayne Prophet Court is not easy, and that should be a charge. Yes, it is. I like how Suggs was able to stand in there and take that contact. He was definitely planted well before the offensive player was able to get there.
Coach Sanborn has ripped his jacket off. He's so upset with that call, and nothing definitive on that replay from what we can see, but he'll make his case. And
no brainer for me, Joe. But I tell you what, I'm far away in the booth, and I also wear glasses because I can't see from far away. That's what my driver's license says.
Well, if you still can't see, you probably should get some new glasses.
Well, they give me a headache. I probably should get new glasses.
Yeah.
But tell you what, if I took them off right now, I wouldn't be able to see the players' jerseys.
We can't have that for sure. 12:05 remaining in the second half of play. 53-32 is the score, and it's a short timeout, so we're going to keep it here. And I want to talk about what you mentioned just a moment ago about road games.
Yeah.
This Ferrum team on the road is 1 for 4 away from Rocky Mount, and the next 2 road games for them, sandwiching that home game against Bridgewater at Hampton-Sydney. Very tough environment when you factor in the fact that students are back on campus, and it's a field house setup.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to Guilford in the dimly lit barn that they have. Not going to get much easier for Ferrum, so they need to find something they can hang their hats on in the next 12 minutes and 5 seconds.
You have to, because I was mentioning a little bit earlier about how Madden McPhee was looking when he threw the ball off the side of the backboard, just kind of that defeated look on his face. Look, you got a lot of games to play left, and there's obviously a lot of time in this game as well, but you're right. Those are 2 really tough venues to play in as well, and if you're Ferrum, you've got to start putting something together to compete with some of these teams on the road. You got to take care of business at home, but you can't just go away from home and drop every game. Can't do that.
2 turnovers from each team. Long pass to Davis, back to Dutton, off the glass, and it's good. Davis likes to poke fun at Dow Dutton for his breakaway layups, but hey, they still count the same way.
Well, and I like that teamwork too. And Reggie Davis running at full speed down there, and we saw Dutton trailing and a behind him pass, and Dutton was able to score.
A big sloppy mess on the floor under the basket as that shot was made from Helton. Going to wipe up the sweat with Young and Davis. Their backs on the floor. Here's another look at that last play. Only fitting that Dow Dutton hikes his shorts up too. So, back in those days, the white guys weren't dunking. Larry Bird wasn't out here on breakaway dunks. He was worried about the efficiency rating, getting those points to fall.
Yeah, Larry Bird was quite efficient. One of the best players of all time, in my humble opinion.
Speaking of that conversation, a little bit of NBA talk. Zion Williamson coming out to his party, and you knew I was going to bring it up because you were 1 week short of seeing him in New Orleans.
But I'll tell you what I did see, and we didn't actually talk about this pregame, so you got me excited. Overtime game between the Pelicans and the Jazz, and Brandon Ingram had 49, and Donovan Mitchell had 46. It was just a great atmosphere, man. Nothing like Turner Gymnasium, though. I'll tell you that.
Not many places are for multiple reasons.
That's good.
11:08 to go in the second half, and second foul called on Dow Dutton. Called on Ferrum's James Smith Jr. And things negatively are piling up for Coach Sanborn and the Panthers. Thacker takes contact, and they're going to call it on the floor. No continuation.
And Thacker really trying to use his size and his length on Young. And he made that look pretty easy. But the shot does not count because that foul was on the ground, even though Thacker left his hand up there like they tell you not to do.
Follow through.
Well, just follow through. I remember, you ever seen Love and Basketball, though,
yes,
Joe?
Yes.
You remember what happened when she held that follow through?
She got a quick lesson in game number 1. Follow through that time was short for Thacker, and rebound hauled in by Madden McAfee. 20-point game. It's been this much of a deficit for the Panthers for much of the second half as they continue their offensive woes. 13 of 41 from the floor now.
Ferrum now, a little out of sorts on their offense, and taking the first available shot, and Suggs again doing an excellent job rebounding the basketball, and that's going to be Ferrum's 4th team foul.
That face pretty much says it all for Coach Sanborn, who definitely wants to carry some momentum into their next game against the Tigers of Hampton-Sydney. He was a former assistant at Hampton-Sydney under then Coach D. Vick. Got some youngsters in the conference ranks of head coaches. Sanborn and Kilborn will be coaching against each other on that day as we get a whistle and a foul on the shot this time. So Thacker will be shooting this time around. 3rd foul called on James Smith Jr., 5th on the Panthers. And of course that gives Coach Sanborn something to gripe about. His team has 5, Lynchburg has 0.
Well, I like that foul, actually. Just don't give him a chance to get the ball up, and it's a kind of a hard foul. Might have looked like a hard foul, but it's just a good basketball play. We talked about Thacker's free throw shooting ability as well, 80%, as you had mentioned. Gets the ball from the referee, doesn't play around, just gets the ball up in the air.
Doesn't give us much time to talk about anything either. He just up and in.
Yeah.
As you see Chance Green stepping in back into the game. Israel Lockamy is also back in for the Hornets. And Thacker goes 2 for 2 on this trip. And observationally, regardless of the opponent, I think this is one area of Lynchburg's game that's going to make them tough down the stretch. They could light it up in the first half from beyond the arc. Then Thacker and Lang come in and they start to go underneath. So pick your poison if you're the opponent.
Well, you're 100% correct, and Lang right there with the rebound. But we talked about how important it was going to be for Lynchburg to work inside out. And right, they worked outside in that first half. But you see Lang and Thacker both being a factor on the offense.
Israel Lockamy gets up large, picks up the rebound, and Thacker answers his effort with 2 more points.
Lockamy is a fan favorite for sure. So Thackeray is as well, but it's a big-time rebound by Thackeray, and you heard the crowd cheering for him there. Rebound by Lockamy.
And for Lockamy, it's not a fanship of, hey, there's a guy that doesn't play as much. He's very active on campus, a terrific ambassador for the University of Lynchburg. And therefore, a lot of people know who he is and know he's a great guy as you see the rebound one more time and a sweet no-look dish back to TC.
Yeah, he's, again, talked about him before. He's likable. He does work hard, and you're right. He is present on campus. He works hard on campus. Actually, he's an excellent scholar athlete as well. Good example of a good student athlete. So excellent work there. And a lot of these guys are. I mean, quite frankly, there's a lot of guys on this team that have phenomenal GPAs and are just excellent men, too. And that's one thing that Coach Scott really likes.
Suggs after the rebound, dishes to Lockamy. And that 3 won't drop. There's a foul on the rebound. Just to go back real quick to Lockamy's work ethic. It happens in the gym, too. Funny moment happened last week using Israel for a social media post, and he's looking pretty buff in the picture on the drive. Coach Ed Smith, our head strength and conditioning coach, making sure he commented on how well his muscles were toned out, and he's using those muscles to pick up the ball on a steal, and he got blocked from behind, but Green's there to clean it up. Lynchburg still finding a way to score points, and before I move on from that, we want to say congratulations to Coach Smith and his beautiful wife, Krista, for welcoming in their first child. EJ was born earlier this week. I don't know what class that is, class of 2030 something, 38, something like 38. That. But we wish them the best in becoming new parents, and we'll see Coach Smith in about 2 months. Long jack from Chance Green, and no one answers the phone.
Can I say something else about Lockamy?
100%, you absolutely can.
You talk about Coach Smith and the strength and conditioning coach and Lockamy's body. That dude has transformed his body from freshman year until now, really even last year until now. I remember talking to him as he came back from the summer, and I was like, look at you, man. You look strong.
He follows the workout plans.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. Big bucket for the Panthers to try and make the score look a little bit better. It's a 61-37 lead for Ferrum, 8:04 remaining. We'll be back in a flash on LHSN.
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
8:04 remaining in the second half of play. Another reminder to connect with us, as those students have done so on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Lynchburg Sports. Also follow the ODAC Athletics on all of those social media platforms as well. You can keep up to date with all the scores happening right now. Emory and Henry leading EMU 66-60. Randolph and Hampton City in a tight one. The Tigers lead 43-40. And the big one tonight, number 3, Randolph-Macon against number 18, Virginia Wesleyan. The Marlins leading now over the Yellow Jackets in the second half there in Virginia Beach, 49-48. A tight contest between two top 20 teams. And for Lynchburg, a loss by Randolph-Macon as Green banks that one in from deep. 1,000 points for Chance Green. And how fitting that he does it from beyond the arc.
That's so exciting for that young man. He's been a great player, excellent from beyond the arc, just a good shooter and a really good leader. And he's really improved his defense as well. So nice to see him cross that 4-digit threshold.
2,000-point scorers on the floor tonight. We talked about Rashad Reed. He picked up his 1,000th point against Bridgewater back on January 4th. And now Chance Green becoming a part of the 1,000-point club for the Hornets.
You know, it's interesting, too. We talked about Thacker and working inside, and he's got 12 points here in the second half and without really playing very minimal minutes in that first half. So they're sticking with that game plan, as you had mentioned before. And that's Helton for a three to cut the deficit to 26 for the Panthers of Ferrum.
6.5 to go. Here's Green again. Dribbles inside. Excellent dish to Thacker. One other thing that Green is known for, those excellent passes.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they're a bit high risk and they don't work out, but when they do, they're really pretty.
Well, and he's become a much better player in that regard as well. He had some bad turnovers early in his career. You see him going up skying for some rebounds as well, but there's another great pass there by Green. Romeo not able to finish that one. But I like the way this team really plays together, where nobody is selfish enough to where, you know, they're just looking to get theirs. You know, there are a lot of teams, and you can just watch teams play and see players who, you know, want to dominate the ball and just try to make sure they score. Lynchburg's not one of those teams.
5:35 remaining. And elation for Chance Green as he heads to the bench. The 27th player in Lynchburg program history to score 1,000 points. And a well-deserved round of applause and standing O from those in the stands for the senior out of Creedmoor, North Carolina, who almost did not come back his sophomore season to be here at Lynchburg. Had thoughts of transferring, stuck it out, and now will be placed in history forever. Lang misses on the hook shot. One of those two seniors, Lang and Green, the only two on the squad for the Hornets. And now Luke Romeo with a breakaway. Keeps it, goes up, and gets it to fall inside. Romeo's done a couple of things tonight we're not accustomed to seeing him do, and certainly driving to the hoop and finishing with the harm is not one of those, but everything working for Lynchburg this evening.
Romeo, excellent job of continuing to control the ball there and control it after the harm, even though he did a back roll on the ground. But you know, when you're an athlete, quite frankly, flexibility matters.
Yes.
And knowing how to fall actually matters as well. You see Chance Green over there getting a rest, drinking on his Gator Powerade, saying, you know what, I might be done for the night, but I got my 1,000 points in.
5:11 remaining as Romeo will not hit the free throw. Romeo, 91% free throw shooter before that last attempt. Hasn't taken many, as we mentioned. Really likes to live outside the three-point line. But in the end, the result will still be the same. Lynchburg on their way to their 5th straight victory, winning 7 of their last 8. The only blemish, that loss on New Year's Day to William Peace, as that one falls in. First make of the night for the Panthers. That's number 30, Terrence Crawford, in his 6th appearance of the year.
It's good team defense by the Hornets, but excellent offensive rebound by the Panthers for a second chance shot. That three-pointer in the corner can be deadly, but it might be too little too late for Ferrum.
Jamil Pasha didn't like the corner three. 5 to shoot. Jordan Brown in control. Dishes to Lang. He'll take it with 1 to shoot. That's short. Lockamy taps it to one of the sides, and will not be able to keep up with it.
Yeah, this is one of those games, you know, we've seen blowouts, and one of the things as a coach that you're really looking for is seeing how the players execute, the players who don't normally get to play, how well do they execute. That foul right there might put the Hornets in the bonus.
It should do that. Single bonus now for Lynchburg after the first foul called against Caleb McCreed goes into effect. And we talked earlier about Ferrum's schedule as you see the next two subs for Lynchburg, Joey Hamer and Jalen Hargroves. Lynchburg's about to hit the really tough part of their schedule. They host Washington and Lee on Saturday here for Alumni Day. Then at Roanoke, at Virginia Wesleyan. Two larger style gyms, depth perception, all those things come into play. And for Lynchburg, the opponent themselves on paper are much better than those that they've played recently. So, yes, you've got to love the fact that they've jumped out after a win tonight. They'll be 7-1 in conference play, but still some landmines out there they could step on over the next few weeks.
Yeah, but one of the things that I know the coaching staff probably are very happy about, and the players too, is just that belief in themselves and the confidence in themselves that, hey, we're a pretty good basketball team. Man, confidence does a tremendous amount for an individual and for a team as well. And when you are 7-1 in the conference, no matter who you play, because the competition is still pretty good, that, hey, you know, we're going to be ready by the time we play some of these top-tier teams, and we're going to be all right. We can compete. That's what that is what a you know, a record like Lynchburg's, that's what a record like that can do. Now, you got to show up and actually play those games. But going into the game, you have the confidence to say, we can play with this team and we can beat this team, even on the road.
Foul is called on Ferrum's Caleb McCreed. Again, his second, team's 8th. And we'll see a couple more new faces. Jalen Hargroves checks in, Heath Gullidge, and Justin Elkins seeing the floor for the first time this evening. They will be those that end a successful night for Lynchburg on their way to a 12-5 record overall, 7-1 in conference, and still will be in that top 2 position at least. Of course, it depends on what happens with Virginia Wesleyan and Randolph-Macon as those two battle it out in the second half. Lynchburg does not play Randolph-Macon until the 8th of February. It is in Ashland, so that certainly is one of those big games on the schedule for them. And at the moment, 5:44 to go. Yellow Jackets lead the Marlins 55-53.
And these are important minutes, too, because the guys who are out here right now who may not be in the regular rotation, just getting game time minutes with referees instead of coaches blowing whistles and against different players who you don't see every day. Like, I mean, it's a big deal.
Nice block from McAfee. And it will stay here with Lynchburg, 8 to shoot.
You know, looking at that play right there and thinking about that block, as you can see Coach Sanborn looking on, the guys out there are a lot stronger than they look, Joe. I remember that was one of my welcome to college moments about, I'm pretty fast, but these guys are just bumping me off my routes because they're stronger than they look.
Elkins, long 2, short. 2:10 remaining in a game in which Lynchburg struggled early, down by 5 in the first 12 minutes, and then went on a 20-2 run to help finish that first half of play and take a sizable 34-19 lead into the break. And never looking back, they've outscored Ferrum 37-31 here in the second half, shooting 40% from the floor tonight. As big bucket dropped in from deep range by DeJordan Brown.
Maybe that's what they used to call him in high school, wasn't it? Big Bucket Brown?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Why, yes, it was.
Of course it was. What else would it be?
And that's McCreed there, and that's 2 really nice takes.
Yes.
Back-to-back for him, and, you know, those are his only 4 points, but he's looked solid. He's looked under control going to the basket each of those last 2 possessions.
Freshman out of Charlotte, North Carolina, part of the young recruiting class from Coach Sanborn. Could be some sparks of things to come. 60 seconds remaining in this one. We'll take a chance to thank the entire LHSN crew tonight as Justin Elkins gets in on the scoring party and scores for the first time this evening. More importantly, scores for the first time in his Lynchburg career.
That's it. You got to start somewhere. Journey of 1,000 miles, Joe, starts with 1 step. And a jersey to 1,000 points, as Chance Green will tell you, starts with 1 basket.
It all began when he was a freshman as well. Made a lot of highlight-type plays and has worked his way to being a consistent starter for the Hornets. And leader as well. Hamer misses the three. And as I mentioned before, big thanks to the crew tonight. Brian Chen, Anthony McAvoy, Erica McLeod, Mackenzie Chitwood on camera duty this evening. Olivia McGee, Justin Jones, your graphics coordinator and replay operator. And hitting all the right buttons tonight, Max Bourne. Back off of break and showing you a great shot there. Reminder, next up for us, men's basketball against Washington and Lee this Saturday at 2 p.m. on LHSN, followed by women's basketball at 4:30. And last look at the women's score, who's also playing Ferrum tonight in Rocky Mount. A sizable lead for them as well, 70-45 with 2.5 minutes to go. The ladies getting back on the winning side of things this evening to bring their ODAC record back to 500 in an ODAC women's conference, women's basketball conference that's wide open. We'll talk a lot about that on Saturday. The Hive has spoken, and Lynchburg avenges their early season loss to Ferrum by a final score of 78-52 tonight from Lynchburg, Virginia. Big night for Theron Suggs and Chance Green. Suggs will finish with 22 points, team leader in that department. Cody Lang, 11 rebounds, led his team there. Chance Green with 6 assists and 1,000 points for his career, obtaining that this evening. We'll talk to him and Theron in our post-game interview. You can check that out at Lynchburg, Facebook.com/Lynchburg Sports, and of course at LynchburgSports.com. For the entire LHSN crew and Dr. Aaron Smith, we'll be back here live on Saturday afternoon for men's basketball against the Generals of Washington and Lee. Keep in mind you can check all scores and recaps at LynchburgSports.com and ODACOnline.com. I'm Joe Hutzler reminding you it's a great day to be a Hornet, and we are one nation.